All right. It is 4:30, so we will call this meeting of Dunn County Judiciary and Law Committee to order. Um, Call of the roll. Supervisor Gilbert is here, Supervisor Jetson, Supervisor Wilsey, and Supervisor Vandermeulen. Everyone is here. Next, we will look to approve the minutes from the August 26th meeting, and we'll need a motion for that. Supervisor Vandermeulen, Supervisor Jetson. Any additions or changes to the minutes? All in favor of accepting the minutes as they are?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Then we will go on to the staff reports and emergency management. Melissa, you are up first today.
Thank you. I really don't have anything to add on the emergency management side. The emergency communications, since I submitted my report, I did have a resignation from one of our telecommunicators. So today is her last day. So we have another hiring process that we just started. So that was kind of tough to hear because we were just kind of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And the other thing that I just wanted to highlight, and it's just for information, is Dunn County Communications is the backup 911 center for two other counties. We're a backup 911 center for Buffalo County and also Chippewa County. And this last month, we have had both counties transferred to us, some of them for multiple hours at a time. So that just adds another layer of stress to the dispatchers when they're taking calls for other counties. We're not familiar with the area and people call in and they're using landmarks that, we're not familiar with. So Buffalo County really had a hard time this last month and we had their calls several days in a row for several hours. So I just wanted to highlight that, and it's just something you don't think about often. Our backup, if we would go down, would be Pierce County. So just a little bit of information. I have nothing else to add unless you have some questions.
And no, go ahead, Supervisor Vandermeulen.
Do they offer you any added help?
They really don't. I think it's, they're hoping that it's short-lived. Like I said, Buffalo County was several hours, several days in a row. Honestly, it would be hard because if they come up, you don't know what the call coming in. It could be a Dunn County call, and then you have a Buffalo County dispatcher answering. So, we just do the best we can and try and get that call back to them, via another line, not 911. But yeah, it doesn't really work out that well to have them come up and help out.
And when they go down, is it because of weather or?
It could be, technical difficulties with their phone system or with their phone lines, if they're getting new phone lines or something like that. I never really did hear what the situation was in Buffalo. I'm wondering if they're not getting a new phone system or the phone system that they have is, needing some repairs. Chippewa's was, I think, one day, but it was, maybe 4 or 5 hours or something, not too bad.
You had an active shooter exercise and looked at what you learned from it. I'm curious what you learned from it.
Yeah, so we haven't released the whole after action report yet, but a couple things we learned was, communication always is the first thing to fail, and it failed before we even started the exercise, which was a little frustrating. When we know what frequencies we were going to use for the drill, we should have checked that before we started the drill. But so I think that was an eye opener. Is a lot of the agencies we have in Dunn County don't always have the same frequencies to use as backup frequencies. They're not programmed in their computer, in their radios, or the operators don't know where they are and what bank. These radios that we have now have several banks and different channels and can have up to 160, different spots to hide frequencies, and what might be a priority to the sheriff's office that they have it right up front may not be to Menominee Fire, and they have it buried in bank number 7, and it's harder to find. So I think that was kind of the biggest thing that we took away from that. Yeah, it is, and it's definitely something that's not easy to fix, but it's something that, definitely can be improved upon fairly easily with just a little bit of cooperation from everybody. Hmm.
Any other questions for Melissa? All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Medical examiner's up and Marcy is out on a call. So we will go to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Big.
I guess nothing to add to my report at this time, unless you have any questions. I can cover the budget adjustment request later when we get to that on the agenda.
Any questions for the sheriff? All right. Thank you. Next up is the clerk of courts. Katie, anything to add or highlight in your report?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit. I was talking earlier before the meeting started, but our 15-day jury trial started today and we had jury selection last all day. It just wrapped up. That's a first time ever for me. I know it happens in other surrounding counties. It may take a very long time. They weren't really sure at the beginning of the trial how long it would take. So you're telling the jurors by the noon hour, normally you'd be released and good to go, but they just got released. So 15 jurors were picked to serve for the 15-day jury trial. We have a few alternates in the event one of them would have a medical emergency or something happen where they can't come in. So there's a couple alternates so that at least we'll end up with 12 at the very end of the jury trial if need be. And if all 15 make it till the end, then we'll excuse 3 of them. They will not be able to deliberate with the remaining 12. So that's what the jury trial process looks like for this large of a trial. The attorneys came in last Friday and met with me. The plaintiff's counsel is very savvy. They're from the Minneapolis area, but they installed additional monitors on all of our counsel tables, the witness stand. They actually put in a HDMI splitter to connect to our audio-visual system, and they have a technician with them that sits in the courtroom that they will run all of their exhibits electronically with and do a great presentation for the jurors. So it's much different than what we're used to seeing. So hopefully it all goes well and they have no technology issues throughout the jury trial, but it will be expensive. We had to feed all the jurors a lunch today, which was not planned because normally the jury selection is done prior to the noon hour. So we ordered almost $500 worth of Jimmy John's to feed over 55 people. So that was just day 1. Tomorrow we'll start a day 3 jury trial in branch 1, which that will be a normal jury trial for us to have, but this will be a big one in branch 2 for the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, once the jury selection process goes, it goes pretty smoothly. There really isn't too much hard work on the other end of it. It's just hoping that the jurors report in every single day and everybody's safe and sound and good to go. So that's kind of the big thing for us. I am short-staffed. I'm going to be doing interviews tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday to hopefully recruit for the civil jury and interpreter clerk position, and I'm really busy right now with our new family clerk. So my head's been spinning a lot, but we're drinking some energy drinks and we're just doing the best that we can and moving along. Are there any questions?
A little melatonin might be.
Yeah, that could happen too. Yeah.
Is the 15 days just an estimate, and is that just based on what's presented from the attorneys?
Yeah, and it sounds like there's certain days that only some other witnesses are available. I did hear there was a rumor this morning that the plaintiff side thought they might end a little bit sooner. So just kind of coordination with all of their witnesses. They have experts, I think, flying in possibly from on each side of the United States. Plaintiffs and defense have some different experts. So hopefully it won't be too mind numbing for the jurors. It was a long day for them. And I know around the lunch hour, they were just like, when can we go home? And I'm like, this is just the beginning. You haven't even heard opening or closing statements and all of the testimonies. So it makes it hard for people to have to be thrown into that type of situation where they're not familiar with the terminology or even wanting to be there, It was a numbers game. We just bring in a lot of jurors hoping for enough to pick a selective pool. Some of them had plane tickets, and I'm like, if you make it into the jury box, tell the judge that and we will get you excused, but I just need volume here for day one. Otherwise, for 15 days, I think the average person has something going on in their own personal life. So it's hard to just excuse everybody that has a dentist appointment or something going on, but hopefully it'll go just fine.
Any other questions? Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, thanks.
Mhm. Next up is CJCC. I don't see Sarah on the screen there.
No.
Okay. That brings us to the district attorney, Andrea.
Hi, the only thing I would add is I was able to post the vacancy for the upcoming retirement of one of the prosecutors. It's been real slim pickings. I'm doing some interviews later this week, but there are 10 other openings around the state and other counties, and so it's not really selective. It's trying to convince people to come here. So I feel like I'm doing trying to sell them on Dunn County and coming here rather than vice versa. So we'll see what happens there. You know, there has been some interest from other individuals or attorneys that are not in the state system, and the state will not match, you know, say a private attorney who's earning a certain rate. So unless they're doing state service, they start at the starting wage. And so there isn't a hiring above minimum because that's not available in the budget. And I'm just thankful that I'm able to even post the position, but it's been a little discouraging as the applicants that I've had, it's been posted for about 3 weeks and I'm doing 2 interviews. So, and then I also have a very busy trial calendar through the end of the year, a number of week-long trials so October, November, December is going to be a bit crazy for my office.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Andrea? I know the Victims of Crime Act grant that you did not get. Is there any indication that it's going to be that way in the next years, like mostly going to nonprofits?
I believe that I don't know, to be honest, because they first said they're going to go to counties because counties are required to have victim witness and the public will fund nonprofits. But then it appears based on their grants, they gave it mostly all to nonprofits and 0 to counties. So I don't think there's been much discussion on that moving forward.
Okay. Thank you. Right. Welcome, Marcy. That's okay. That's okay. Next up is child support. Josie.
I don't necessarily have anything to add to my report. We got the results back from our on-site 3-year audit, and I was going for perfection, and I had one finding of noncompliance. Case participants have the right to file what's called an administrative complaint if they feel the agency failed to act when they should have or made an error. And that plan is hanging on the wall of my lobby. Apparently, I need to also have a poster inviting them to read the plan hanging adjacent. So the poster's now there next to the plan, and 3 years from now, check that box. That's covered. So, but we passed the IRS safeguards review, which is the one that is most terrifying to me most of the time. And then the second point on my report about the Strengthening State and Tribal Child Support Enforcement Act, the legislative fix that's needed to allow federal tax offsets to funnel through our support disbursement units. The fact that passed the House, 405 to 10 in today's political climate is just sort of astounding to me and just shows that our program is liked by lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. So that's good.
Any questions for Josie? All right. Marcy, we'll come back to you with the medical examiner. Anything to add to your report today?
I don't have anything to add. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer.
I had a question about the collaboration with Potter's Field um, for the unclaimed bodies.
Mhm.
How does that work? And are there monuments or like what? How does that work?
We're still working on the monuments. We've reached out to a couple of different monument companies to see if we can get a reduced price for those. There won't be any charge to have the bodies buried at, or the remains buried at, either Potter's or Orchard Hill in Eau Claire. Both are county-owned property, land, and they don't foresee ever burying any other remains, at either of those cemeteries other than unclaimed or unidentified, remains. But the marker would be, there would be a charge unless we could get a monument company to donate. The Eau Claire Cemetery, all of the monuments need to be flat to the ground. At Potter's, we talked to the association that takes care of Potter's Field. It's a group, the same person who manages a historic society down by Wakanda will, they have some monies that they will donate for a marker at Potter's Field, and we're probably gonna do one marker that is upright that we can add names, and date of, just a name and year of birth and year of death. And both cemeteries will keep track of unclaimed bodies, so people can come back and look for their loved one and know where, or family member, relative, friend, and know where they've been buried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. We will move down to item number 8, consideration of reports, resolutions, and ordinances to the county board. And Sheriff, if you want to talk about the budget adjustment, please.
Sure, just requesting an additional, we budgeted for 2024, $85,000 in expenditures out of jail assessment funds, not knowing what our costs were going to be to do some improvements to the facility. And the two projects that we need to get taken care of this year, new computer software that controls the jail door system. So it's all run from central control, touchpad monitors, and that's how they unlock all the doors and have intercoms. That system is running Windows 8, which is not supported anymore. So if that crashes, we are literally keying open every door in the jail and don't have intercoms for probably 2 to 3 months until they can come in and put a whole new system in. So we're trying to get ahead of the game a little bit before it does crash. We've had the computers themselves have crashed, and we've been lucky enough to replace them. But the whole system hasn't crashed yet. So that is that process. We call it the pipe system for cell checks. The other project for $38,000 is a cell check. Corrections officers go around and they literally carry, it's called a pipe. And they scan it, and it's electronically recorded when they do their cell checks. That's the original system from 1998 when the building was built, and it's outdated and needs to be updated. And with a system that they can actually go around with a smart device similar to a cell phone, scan, it'll bring up a picture of the inmate and all the inmates that are supposed to be in that cell, confirm that. So we had budgeted $85,000. The cost of that between the two is come in, I don't know, somewhere around 130. thousand. So we need an additional $53,791 out of jail assessment funds. That balance, as of the audit in 2023 is sitting at 228,000. So it's healthy enough to absorb those additional costs. So no budget or no tax levy impact at all. It's I kind of explained it in my report too, but the jail assessment funds are kind of a pot of money that I have to determine what that gets used for to improve the facility, and that's all it can be used for. So it rolls over from year to year. We take in anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 into that fund every year to maintain the facility. So that's what it's intended for.
Good, thank you. Supervisor Vandermeulen.
Where does that money come from?
Court costs, $10 out of every citation written in the county, whether it's by Wisconsin State Patrol, Sheriff's Office, Menominee Police Department. $10 of each citation written goes to that jail assessment funds, and there's some other, Katie could probably tell you better than I could about where some of those funds come from, but.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, any citation or criminal case, there's a $10 jail assessment surcharge. The clerk of court's office collects it, and at the end of the month, we transmit it into the sheriff's office budget per the statute. Or into your account, I shouldn't say the budget, but yeah.
Any other questions? All right, we'll need a motion for this. Supervisor Vandermeulen? Supervisor Gilbert? All in favor of passing the budget adjustment along to the county board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Anybody have any announcements? All right. Next meeting will be here on October 28th at 4:30, and we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.